Hey, everybody. Welcome to our podcast. I'm Jason.
And I'm Laurie.
And this is the Walking Dead cast, episode 19. I'm really excited to have another cast member from The Walking Dead on today, Laurie Holden, who plays my favorite character, Andrea. Hi, Laurie.
Hi, cool. I'm your favorite character?
Yeah, totally.
Love that.
I've been reading the comics since issue 7, and I like Andrea because she's pretty much a badass. She's grounded and kind of steely and dangerous, but she's still also open and sometimes vulnerable, you know?
Yeah.
And I've noticed that you bring those qualities into the show too. And so I was glad that they picked you to play the part.
Thank you.
And so I'm just wondering, are you going to keep playing Andrea close to how she is in the comic? Is that the idea?
Well, here's the deal. The AMC version of the character of Andrea is a little bit different than the comic book, obviously. As you know, I'm older than the comic book version. Frank decided to make more of an age difference between Amy and Andrea because he wanted a richer, deeper, more complicated relationship. The warrior, the badass that Andrea becomes, you're going to see more of that in season 2 and season 3. Season 1, we're really kind of exploring who she was and who she is before that change occurs. Because, you know, when you read the comic book, they don't really touch on that very much. You see her a little bit in the beginning with her sister. Her sister dies, and then she's a warrior.
Yeah. We're
kind of really exploring the grief and the vulnerability and more of who she is before, you know, before she emerges as the badass.
Yeah, and I noticed that, like in the mall scene when she doesn't know how to work the gun, and she seems a little flustered. And,
yeah.
I mean, people who know the comic probably love that scene because they're like, oh, that's not going to be like that for very long, you know?
Yeah.
But it's fun to see the shift over time.
Well, I think Andrea learns a lot about herself as the show goes on. I think that when Amy dies, her heart is irrevocably broken. I mean, she will never be the same. And so many horrible things happen to this character that really test her strength and her mettle and what she stands for. And I think that she discovers a strength and resilience that she didn't even know she had. Mm-hmm. It's really quite a journey.
Do you think that she actually appreciates that discovery?
Appreciates that discovery?
I mean, things are pretty horrible for her to probably have that.
Yeah, I mean, you're asking me now. You know, Andrea right now has just lost her sister, and she has pretty much zero will to live, and thinks that there's no hope in humanity. So, you know, right now in her world, she's rather apathetic.
Yeah.
But you know, as we progress with the story, I think she'll probably be pleased that she has more chutzpah than she even knew she had. I mean. You know, I think she even surprises herself.
Have you and Jeffrey talked much about the relationship that you guys are about to have?
A little bit, but not so much. I mean, I feel really blessed because they couldn't have hired a better Dale. Jeffrey, I mean, not only is Jeff DeMunn an incredible actor, but he's so perfect for Dale. And I've worked with him on 2 other collaborations, The Majestic and The Mist, and we have a real shorthand and a real trust between the 2 of us. And I think that the one thing that we both agree upon is that when they do find each other, because it's going to be an organic way of finding one another, it's really all about love. It's a very pure love. Dale is so kind, and when Andrea loses everything in her whole life, and this one man gives her a love and a kindness and a hope that no one else on the planet can, and she can't help but look at him like a savior in many ways.
Mm-hmm. And we've already seen a little sliver of that.
A little sliver.
Yeah. A little curiosity on her part.
Yeah.
So we actually watched The Mist because we're doing this podcast and it's all about your show. And we started it a few months ago before the show even aired. And so in preparation, we watched The Mist because it was a Darabont film. And it was fun to see you and Jeffrey DeMunn together, knowing that you were going to play these other parts. And, but since we're talking about this, Karen and I wondered whose idea it was to not have your character and the main guy in The Mist hook up like they did in the Stephen King novella.
I think that was Frank's decision. And I think, I don't want to speak out of line here, but I think that in terms of a cinematic form, in terms of a movie, I think that would have made Thomas Jane's character very unlikable.
Yeah.
His wife dies and all of a sudden he jacks up with Amanda.
First night.
You wouldn't really be rooting for him very much. No. So I think that it was the right choice. I think that, we all played our surrogate roles. I became kind of a surrogate mother support to him, and there was a survival love, but it didn't really need to go into that sexual romantic territory.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it was cool. That's an interesting phrase, survival love, because there was definitely a bond there, and it was cool to see that without it having to go in that direction like every other movie probably would have.
Yeah.
I read that you really liked working with Robert Kirkman and that you really wanted to please him because he created this whole thing. And it just made me wonder, had you spent much time with him? And we interviewed him and we just thought he was really funny. Did that come across to you? Yeah.
He's hilarious. I mean, at first I didn't know what to think of him because he has this real kind of offbeat sense of humor where when you first start talking to him, he's like, did you like it? And he's like, no, I hated it. And you're like, oh. It takes you a little bit of time to go, oh, okay, that was a joke.
Right.
He's the man. He created this incredible graphic novel and he created these characters. And when I met him shooting episode 4, I felt kind of like a little kid looking at him like, hey, are you happy? It's me, Andrea, sure. You want him to be pleased because he's lived with these characters for 7 years and he knows the characters, better than we do. And, to meet the creator, it was pretty surreal. But he's been amazingly supportive of all of us.
Oh, yeah? Like, how does he show that?
There was some pretty intense things that we had to do on the show, some pretty crucial moments. And, he would be very supportive and say something really kind, like, you knocked it out of the park or, whatever he said that was kind of a, cool. Like a tap on the back, like you did it, kid,
It's funny. He said the same thing about working with you guys. He said he walked on set and he'd see the first time Stephen Yeun met Andrew Lincoln and he's like, this is Glenn and Rick's first meeting. And he pulled out his camera, and it just blew his mind. So it's really cool to think of you guys, the actors and him together, both having these like giddy moments, meeting each other. It
is pretty giddy.
I usually think of zombie movies as being kind of fun and thrilling and terrifying, but not necessarily heartfelt. And like in most of the time, you kind of almost get to be callous about death with these movies. But Walking Dead, since it needs to live over time, the characters are more fully drawn. And so I think it kind of becomes a different kind of thing, right? Than the typical zombie fare.
Well, there's a lot of different kind of zombie fares. I mean, I watched a lot of different zombie